Well, the dust has barely settled on one season in the Betfred Rugby League, and we're already looking towards the next one. The fixtures are here for the Betfred Championship and League One, and I'm sure you'll be very keen to find out who your team have got. Delighted to say that I'm joined by Widnes Vikings Danny Craven in the studio. Danny, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
Well, you're back into pre-season, but you must be absolutely chomping at the bit.
Yeah, we've had a long off season at Widnes. We started back pre-season on Tuesday night, so we're looking forward to getting back into the swing of things and looking forward to the season ahead.
Well, let's get stuck right into it then and have a look at how these opening round one fixtures look in the Betfred Championship. We start off on Friday, the 31st of January. Dewsbury Rams welcome Leigh Centurions to the Tetley Stadium. And two teams with contrast against last year. Dewsbury, obviously looking around that bottom to mid-table. Leigh were right up there, and if you look at the recruitment for Leigh, they'll be very much amongst the contenders again. You'd think straight into Saturday, Toulouse welcome York in what looks like, well, potentially to tie the round. Two playoff teams from last year. York, one of the stories of the season, of course, coming up from League One. They'll be very keen to go back-to-back and have another very good year. Sunday, where the bulk of the fixtures take place, we go to Batley, who take on Featherstone Rovers. Featherstone with a new coach, and Batley, of course, with a new coach in terms of a full pre-season and season for them. So two teams, again, who'll be very interesting to see how they go. And a really interesting one on Sunday afternoon, Bradford Bulls versus the London Broncos. Who knows how either of those two teams are going to go, to be honest. It's going to be very, very interesting. Halifax welcome Sheffield Eagles, and newly promoted Oldham take on Danny's Widnes on Sunday afternoon. And Whitehaven take on the Swinton Lions at the Recreation Ground. Danny, obviously your fixture against Oldham, but apart from that, any ones that jump out from round one as real firecrackers to get us started?
I think, like you said there, just looking at the round one fixture, I think the standout ties got to be Toulouse and York. They were both flying high last year in the Championship, and obviously they're going to have the same aspirations of gaining promotion this season. So, it'd be a good game, good contest, and both teams will be looking to get off to a good start.
And what about for yourselves, Oldham, away from home? Would you rather start at home?
Ideally, I'd have rather started at home, yeah. But Oldham have just been promoted, so they'll be looking to get off to a good start and send a statement out to the rest of the Championship. As will we. We're a new team, so I think for us it's about getting 2 points, and hopefully we turn up with a good attitude on the day and we come away with a win.
And I suppose as a player, you spend a lot of off-season looking at what the other teams are doing, looking at where players are going. Are there any teams on that fixture list that you look at and think have really strengthened in off-season?
I think, to be honest, I think Toulouse are the team to watch this year. They've recruited real well. They've signed a couple of my former teammates, Harrison Hanson, Lloyd White, Frank Winterstein, and they've got the likes of Jonathan Ford, Corella, Junior Vivai on the edges. So I think they're going to be one of the teams to beat this season. I think Featherstone have recruited real well as well. They've signed some good players, so it's going to be a tough season in the Championship, but can't wait to get going. And
London, a real interesting one. As someone that's made that transition from Super League down to Championship, how difficult is it?
To be honest with you, it's not too much that it's difficult. It's London are still going to be full time. I don't think much will change other than personnel at London. They've got good facilities, they've got some good players there. So I think for them it's just about having the aspirations to get back up to Super League. So I can see London doing well this year.
With the playoff structure being as it is, and with Toronto now moving up into Super League and that kind of big budget not being in the Championship anymore, do you think there's a real kind of, more than ever, there's more teams that will be having a look and thinking they can have a real crack at playoffs and promotion this year?
Definitely. I think the season before last, obviously it was a surprise to everyone that London beat Toronto in the £1 million game, and last season Toronto ran away with the league in the end, and they've been rewarded with promotion, and rightly so. But like you said, going into this season, I think there's 4, 5, 6, maybe 6 teams who can have a realistic shot at gaining promotion, and if everyone performs to their ability, then I think that there'll be around about 5, 6 teams who'll have a good chance.
And last season we saw the two teams that came up from League One. York went straight into the playoffs. Bradford were in that chat for a while and kind of settled mid-table. But were you impressed at the standard of those teams that was coming out of League One?
To be honest, York were the surprise package of last year. I don't think many people had high expectations of York, and they had a couple of good wins early on in the season, and people may have thought that they'd have dropped off, but they maintained the performance throughout the year, and they were unlucky not to get further in the playoffs in the end. But York beat Widnes twice last season, and at the start of the season we probably wouldn't have expected that. So for York, I think for them this year it's just maintaining the high standards they set from last year, and they'll be right up there again. And
it's such a big sort of sporting cliche, but how important is it when you come into these early rounds that we start looking at now, that how important is it that you make a good start?
It is. Obviously you want to start the season with confidence. You get your pre-season games and blow all the cobwebs in pre-season, and as soon as you get to round one you want to be firing and ready to go and start picking up points and climbing the table. So the first few games are real pivotal to how your season's going to go, and the amount of confidence that you gain from picking up wins. So a good start to the season is vital.
And you're obviously back into pre-season now, plenty of new faces around Widnes. What's life under Tim Sheen's been like? Yeah,
well, we've had 2 sessions. I've only met Tim. Well, this is it's the 3rd time I've met Tim. So, but up to now, he's been really good. His knowledge of the game second to none. Some of the players who he's coached in the past and the success he's had is phenomenal. And if you'd have asked me this time last year, would it be coached by Tim Sheens at any point in my career, I'd probably have laughed at you. So, it's great to have Tim on board, and the new lads who've come in, they seem to have fitted into the group real well, and it's just about getting some good training sessions together now and building combinations ready for the season.
It was obviously quite well publicised, and we all know what happened with Widnes last year and the uncertainty 12 months ago, but just how different is it now that uncertainty's kind of gone away and you can actually prepare on solid foundations for this season?
Yeah, I think this season we're going into the season with we've transitioned from full time to part time now, so we know what parameters we're in, and we know the budget that we've got, and we've probably not got as high a budget as teams in the league now. But for us going into pre-season, knowing that we're part time, and the mentality that Tim's brought in is we're part time in hours but full time in mentality. So for us going into pre-season, we've just got to train as hard as we can, put the hours in, and hopefully turn up on game days and cause some upsets this year.
Obviously you've been with the Vikings for 10 years now, so you've pretty much seen it all. There's not much that could have happened to that club that hasn't happened. It might be a slightly crass question, but why have you stayed with them?
To be honest, well, I've come full circle with Widnes now. When I started my first team journey at Widnes, it was part time. We transitioned into Super League through the licensing period, and obviously relegation back to Championship, and then we've gone back to part time. So for me, I've been there since I was 17. The club's become a big part of my life, and I've had two children whilst I've been at the club who both love coming and watching the dad play for Widnes. So that's one of the reasons that I wanted to stay there, and to run out on the field at the Halton Stadium in front of my kids is something that I'll cherish.
What's success in 2020 for you guys?
I think for us, looking forward into the Championship season, we want to be in that playoff mix come the end of the season. We sat down on Tuesday and Tim said to us if we can get into the playoffs, they're just one-off games from there, and it's who turns up on the day. So for us, it's about maintaining a good standard throughout the year and hopefully getting them playoff places, and then come playoff time, who knows what can happen.
So there we go. So let's just quickly recap those round 1 fixtures in the Betfred Championship. Dewsbury versus Ligue opens things up on Friday the 31st of January. We've got Toulouse versus York, and then on Sunday we have Batley versus Featherstone. Bradford take on the London Broncos. Halifax host Sheffield Eagles. Oldham take on Danny's Widnes, and Whitehaven take on the Swinton Lions. So moving on to the Betfred League One, and what a league that was last year. Obviously Whitehaven working their way up as champions, and then Oldham following them as playoff grand final winners. The team they beat in that grand final kicked things off on Saturday the 15th of February, so a slightly later start in League One. Newcastle Thunder take on the West Wales Raiders. Coventry versus Rochdale. Rochdale relegated from the Betfred Championship last season. It'll be interesting to see how they go. We move on to Keighley versus Hunslet. North Wales versus Doncaster, and Workington Town take on the London Scholars on Sunday the 16th of February. And Barrow Raiders get that first bye round with there being an odd number of teams. They kick off their campaign the week after against Doncaster at the Keepmoat Stadium. Like, obviously, all of these players will be part-time. Having experienced that yourself now, just how difficult is it to do your day job and then turn up to training and then games on a Sunday?
Yeah, well, luckily for me at the minute, I've just transitioned out of the full-time environment, so I'm not one of the working players at the minute. But you know, lads who are going to jobs 9 till 5 and then training on a night time. You know, it's the long days, and you turn up on a weekend, put your body on the line, and then you're back in work on the following day. So you know, it can take a toll on your body, and it just shows that the lads who are part-time and playing rugby, they've got a massive love for the game, and you know, you've got to respect people for doing that.
And every year we see players going both ways down to League One from Championship and Super League sides, but also there's players that make the jump up increasingly now. Do you think do you feel like the gap is closing in terms of the talent that's coming up from League One?
Definitely, yeah. You know, there's a lot of talented players in League One. You know, you only have to look at people at Doncaster. You've got Rangi Chase at Doncaster. He's a former Man of Steel. I know that Ross Peltier's just left Bradford to go to League One as well. So, you know, it just shows that the gap is closing between League One and the Championship. And you know, if we can get that standard high in League One, then it bodes well for rugby in general.
So there we go. Let's just recap again those round 1 fixtures in Betfred League One. Newcastle Thunder and West Wales Raiders get us underway on Friday, Saturday the 15th of February. Sorry. On Sunday, Coventry take on Rochdale Hornets, Keighley take on Hunslet, North Wales Crusaders take on Doncaster, and Workington Town play London Scholars. Barrow get their campaign underway a week later against Doncaster. So there we have it. The full fixtures are now live. We can officially start talking about the 2020 Betfred Rugby League season. And personally, I can't wait. I think it's going to be an absolutely fantastic year across both leagues. Just in those opening rounds, there's some really, really good fixtures. And we've not even really spoken about Summer Bash. I mean, what's that like to play?
Last year was, you know, I've played in 3 Summer Bashes now and lost all 3 games. So I've had not the best experiences on the match days, but the event as a whole, I think it's a fantastic concept to have every team under the same roof playing over the space of 2 days, and you know, you get some real good crowds through the door. You know, it's like a party atmosphere, so I'm looking forward to getting there again this year.
Brilliant. Well, thank you for joining us, Danny. There we go. It is time to start talking about the 2020 Betfred Rugby League season.